Congratulations to the U.S. women's national team for getting out of the group, but doing so in a fashion that, from a historic perspective, I don't think has ever let us, ever made us feel less confident that this U.S. team is going to go and win a World Cup. It was a performance that was completely rudderless and completely devoid of any type of inspiration and or organization. And while I thought that the other night against the Netherlands, that 45 minutes was the low point, oh no, Vlatko Andonovski and company, they came back and said, oh, we can do much better. We can do 90 minutes of crap. And that's ultimately what happened. Now, that is the bad. The good is that they're out of the group. And yes, to a certain extent, there is a closing of a chapter and the opening up of another pathway and opportunity. And what the hope seems to be, Mosse, is that there is this other U.S. women's national team that exists behind the curtain that now shall show itself after the group stage is done here. And it is one that understands how to play. This is one that is dynamic. This is one that scores goals. But again, this is one that we have yet to see, and that somehow the faucet is going to be turned on and automatically the #1 team in the world is going to find their form. They're going to flick the switch, whatever it is. This all is theoretical. But the way in which this U.S. team responded, and they came in for a lot of criticism in the way that they, you know, the body language and the dancing before the game, the dancing after the game, the smiles, and the sense that they didn't realize that this was a poor performance. And maybe to them it wasn't a poor performance. But ultimately, this is the lowest point in terms of how I have felt about this team. I thought that this is one of the all-time worst performances by the U.S. women's national team, and it gives me, and I think a lot of people out there, very little hope that this team can turn it around, and that team, that other team that hasn't been there this tournament, is going to show up.
I am doing well, by the way. There wasn't the usual greeting, how are you doing?
No, we're getting right. We were 2 inches away from going out of the World Cup, which would have been the greatest failure and the darkest moment in U.S. soccer history. And look, we lived through Cuba. We lived through that, where the U.S. did not qualify for the 2018 World Cup. And we said at the time that that was the worst moment. And it still is, but only by 2 inches, because Portugal not only should have scored at the end, but ultimately they were the better team in this game.